This episode of the 10-Minute Drill podcast is sponsored by Thrifted and Gifted. Look good, feel good, do good. Check them out on Instagram at Thrifted and Gifted. This podcast is also sponsored by Nax Corners Nutrition, where they have flavorful protein shakes, protein coffee, wonderful teas, and more. Check them out at 2121 Cinema Drive, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Welcome into episode 7 of the 10-Minute Drill. We are quarantined. We are all dying from the coronavirus. The world is falling apart. There's no sports to watch anymore. Boys, has it been a fun 12 hours?
Bro, it has been a very anxious 12 hours, especially since I feel so bad for all of the junior college guys, the NCAA guys that are losing their entire seasons. It's ridiculous. Just thinking about a junior college team canceling their entire season, losing half of their collegiate careers just because of this virus. Like, I get the fact that we're trying to protect the people that are at risk, but it breaks your heart. It breaks your heart. It really does. And then the NEIA and my season's on the verge of ending soon too. So, it's just all falling to crap right now.
Yeah, forget 12 hours. 24 hours ago, I was touching down on a plane from Florida just to turn my data back on and see, school's canceled. And I was like, I could have stayed in Florida. I could have been in Madeira Beach, 75 and sunny, and instead I'm back in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which, don't get me wrong, I love to be home, but it's not the same, boys. It's not the same.
And I dealt with rainy Myrtle Beach, and the only time it was sunny was the day we got there and the day we left. The rest,
you know what, Luke? I tried telling you guys that. You guys were so convinced to go to Myrtle Beach, and I continually said it is not warm enough there to go for spring. No, it's going to be good. It's going to be. I was like,
I was looking at Florida places on Airbnb the entire time. It was Nate that was wanting to make us move to Myrtle Beach, and then I complied. That's all I did.
Yeah. Well, I think Noah can tell you that Florida was very nice.
Every day was 75 and sunny.
But guess what? It was Floridian weather the week I got back here. So we were a week early.
That's how it works, dude. That's how it works.
Yes, sir, it does. Oh, well.
Spring break.
On time despite of it.
We got back from spring break, and now we're on spring break 2.0. But hey, 10-Minute Drill keeps running. Nothing stops us here.
Amen.
Just a Google Hangout gets us going now. All right, boys. Could you guess what our first topic today is?
Gee, I wonder what it is.
The AHL.
Sadly, you would be wrong today, Noah. You're usually pretty right. We're talking how basically every sport is dead, but we're going to kick it off with the biggest one probably. The NBA and March Madness are canceled.
Rudy Gobert.
Noah, don't cry now. We're on camera now. You can't cry.
Rudy Gobert. That's all I got to say.
That's the NBA. So we'll start. Noah, do you want to do March Madness first, or you want the NBA first?
Let's just get March Madness. Just rip it off like a Band-Aid.
All right. Well, March Madness is canceled. Conference championships canceled. Duke and Kansas have already said even if there was one, they weren't playing in it. What is the effect of no March Madness?
Lots of money being lost. Holy crap. All the sponsorships, all of the fans, because there's not an empty stadium for one of those matchups, no matter if it's Virginia versus UMBC or whatever the 16th seed is. So there's a lot of money, a lot of TV coverage being lost in this. But besides that, there's a lot of seniors getting their heart broken and a lot of guys losing the opportunity to rise their draft stock just a little bit more.
Yeah. This one was tough for me, seeing the news today. I tweeted out March 1, 12:01 a.m. It's the most wonderful time of the year because I was so ready for brackets. I love it. Every year I'm in a bracket pool with my family. I do it with my fiance's family now. It's so much fun to watch all the games and to see it all taken away in basically a span of 48 hours. It was all of a sudden we got really serious about it 2 days ago, and that was it. It was over. Like Luke said, my heart breaks for a lot of seniors. I'm a Michigan fan, but you have to respect someone as amazing as Michigan State's Cassius Winston, and his career is over without a chance to make a run in a conference tournament, much less the NCAA tournament. I really hope that a potential exemption comes out. I know there were rumors swirling that they may try to push the tournament into even like April or something like that. I don't think it's gonna happen, but yeah, it's painful for sure.
I'm kind of torn on the giving them back another year of eligibility because of the fact that it still costs a lot of money to get that extra year. And so with that being said, how many people are actually going to do that?
We also have to think about maybe, obviously not a senior star, but like, I don't know, the 7th or 8th guy off the bench, and all it takes is 1 or 2 top recruits to come to the school. I mean, Michigan, for example, you have a couple 5-star recruits coming. What happens to your 6th, 7th man on the bench? Like, they're just getting pushed down. They're not going to, oh, we feel bad. Like, you're going to play. Like, no, the best player is going to play. And the 5-star recruit freshman is probably going to play over the 2-star recruit senior at this point.
Very true.
So there's a big controversy, I think, going to come with that. Eligibility, they've played a whole season is the fight against it, I feel like.
Yeah, they played. I mean, to be fair, they played their entire regular season. And some of these schools, like out on the West Coast, I mean, Gonzaga played and won their conference championship already. So for their seniors, they really didn't have anything left. It was the national tournament, and that was it. And that's what, 5-6 games? 5-6 games
Maybe
left?
it could be one.
It could be one. I mean, we saw that with Virginia last year. Like Luke said, this is a huge loss of money. The NCAA tournament usually generates over $1 billion in revenue. Not only is this a loss for the NCAA, it's a loss for all the people who are going to work in those arenas and get paid to work, like concessions and ushers. And that's a big loss for people who are relying on that money. I know the NBA is taking steps to help with that, but think about even the gambling companies that are going to be losing so much money.
Gone. Think about every championship bet. You have to refund it at this point.
No single greater time of year is there sports betting than March Madness. And
because everything's up for grabs.
Exactly. It's a national thing. Even people who don't watch college basketball in their office or whatever, they're in the office bracket pool. They're watching the games because it's on in the lunchroom. Like, this is a really huge loss, honestly, for our country economically before we even start talking about the NCAA itself.
And this is the thing that could have, and since that everybody's practically being quarantined in their own houses and being so cautious not to catch the virus, what could have kept people sane in their mental health is being able to watch the March matches, is being able to watch sports. But since mental health is so huge in our society today, that could have been the thing that helped us get through it. But the fact that we're losing practically all sports, and I don't want to say all sports yet because MLB is still hanging on, cross your fingers. But and that's a whole nother story right there. It was like the minor leagues and independent league baseball, but I'm sure we'll get into that later on in the show. But that just thinking about that is just a whole nother, just a whole nother thing that just blows your mind.
Mm-hmm. It's awful. This is going to go down in history, as well as for the NBA season. We didn't even get to playoffs yet. And now the NBA made me mad because I bought tickets to a Detroit Pistons Celtic game.
That's right.
So mad. I am not going to that anymore.
Bro, you had like your whole semester planned out. You had 2 Yankees tickets.
I have a Yankee game.
Baby, and you had the Pistons tickets. You were going off. You were going to have, Jason Tatum sign your iPhone and everything.
Absolutely. I love Jason Tatum. The NBA canceling just hurts a little more because one certain somebody had to be a fool.
I mean, it's not canceled though. It's not. It's suspended.
Suspended.
Yeah. It's not. The season's not over. Yeah, March Madness is canceled. The NBA's been suspended. Adam Silver came out today and said it's going to be at least 30 days. I've heard a lot of people say, you know what, we should probably expect around 60, honestly, to get this all fully taken care of. We could go 2 months without basketball. It is the smart decision. It is, but it's really frustrating for the fact that now and any sports fan, what are you going to do? I mean, I already logged some heavy hours on my Xbox today because that's all you can do at this point. You can, I don't know, read a book, binge Netflix, but you're not going to be able to throw any random game on. You could lift some weights. I know that's what you're going to do, Zach.
I am going to do that.
There's a lot of productive things that you can do. It's just you have to have some sort of like time to just relax and to not, or just to debrief, which that's what sports allows people to do, whether it be the people playing them at the amateur level or the people watching them or even people like us that cover it. So that's another group of people that really lacks in this. Think about all of the broadcasters that their main income or part of their income is by the games they broadcast. And if you don't have don't have any games to broadcast, there goes your income. Like my old boss back in Indiana, he was in, I believe it was North or South Dakota for the NEIA D2 national championships. And they completely cut it. He was covering 2 different teams, Indiana University, South Bend, and Holy Cross, who just made it in this year. They had a drought for years. And he lost so much money just with that tournament getting canceled. And that's his main source of income.
It's rough, but I think we could all agree here. Do you believe Adam Silver has done the right thing? I think he has been the forefront of the sports for this
pandemic. Yeah.
Thank you, because it was announced. He has been the leader out of the sports, I believe. I commend Adam Silver and the rough 6 months we have talked about for Adam Silver as the commissioner of the NBA. This guy is going through a lot, but I think he needs to give credit where credit is due. He is showing leadership and strong authority. David Stern was here for so long, and we all loved him, and he was so great. But Adam Silver has really done a great job, and this is going to be a highlight of his time as a commissioner.
Absolutely.
Who's the real leader? Mark Cuban. He came out.
Mark Cuban is doing so well.
As soon as this whole thing happened, as the suspension happened, he was thinking of the little guys down the ladder. And I tweeted this out too. The fact I have gained so much respect for him, and even Kevin Love has done the same thing in the Cleveland Cavaliers organization. Thinking about the little man and thinking about the people like Noah mentioned earlier, the ushers and all the other staff members that are paid by the hour to be there and to serve the people. And without those hours, which now Mark Cuban is going to be providing volunteer opportunities in exchange for money, financial compensation. So that he is a real leader right now in the NBA.
Yeah,
he truly is.
Absolutely. And like you said, Luke, Kevin Love going out there donating $100,000 to the arena workers with the Cavaliers. There's a lot of moving parts that go into making a game happen. I went to a Pistons game last week, and you've got ushers, you've got concessions, you've got people walking up and down the aisle selling drinks, security, all the game day interns, like the guys jumping on trampolines and throwing T-shirts into the crowd, PA, broadcasting. Those kind of people, those are the ones that are going to be hurt the most by this, because that's their income, that's their life.
You know what's going to be kind of funny to watch? You know how bad SportsCenter is going to be after all this goes down?
What are they going to even talk about?
It's going to be nothing but talks of LeBron versus MJ the entire time. I guarantee it. Something like that. It's going to be hilarious.
They are going to have to pull some really random stuff out. I like that whistle. The whistle's a fun one.
I didn't beat it. It feels weird. Normally I'm the one getting the last word.
Hey, great job. Noah, you get the first word on this next one, because we get to finally talk a little soccer, and it's canceled. It's shut down. It's shut down. The Euro League is shutting down. Champions League done. And just when Liverpool finally got eliminated and everyone was celebrating, Noah, you don't get to see a championship without Liverpool.
Man, it would have been beautiful to see a Champions League without Liverpool in it. And honestly, I'm so excited. This is the first time we get to talk soccer, but the fact that it's about the coronavirus and all of the things shutting down, oh, this hurts. I mean, like you said, Zach, the Euros is a massive tournament every summer where all the nations of Europe obviously come together and play in basically a mini World Cup. And it's not even going to happen this summer. And that's really disappointing for especially older players where this might have been their last go. They're going to have to try and stick it out another year because they're moving it a full year to next summer, 2021. Liverpool.
Which is stupid.
Oh, I know.
Do you think that's the right thing, though? Because I hear you, Luke. You're saying it's stupid. No, what do you think? Do you think it's smart to move it back to next summer?
The Euros have always been played in the summer, and I feel like they had to stay true, especially because club soccer, so at the smaller level like Chelsea and Liverpool and all these teams, that's when they play is during the winter and the fall and the spring, and they get the summer off. So the only time they can really have that tournament is during the summer. So it really handcuffs them and forces them to make that full year switch, which is really unfortunate because cities and venues and stadiums had been preparing to host big tournaments, and now they have to wait on the income another year, which is going to be painful. I mean, very, very frustrating. And with all of the big leagues in Europe basically shutting down right now, there really isn't anything to talk about. I mean, we could have actually talked soccer for once because everything else was stopping. But the problem is that that's where the coronavirus is in Europe. And everything's shutting everything. I mean, I'm a Chelsea fan. One of their players has supposedly contracted the virus. A lot of players in the English league, Germany, Spain, Italy, have contracted the virus. It's
Juventus's defender was the first. Was he the first?
He was
he's a low-level player, but
Rugani.
He got it.
Yeah, Daniele Rugani. He was one of the first players to come out and publicly have contracted the disease. And yeah, it's basically ground everything to a halt, a lot like Gobert in the NBA. Everything has just come to a complete stop, and it's very, very weird.
Here's my thing. Like, I get that there's a good chance of this continuing to spread, in which I'm pretty sure it is, and it's been reported that it is. But like the Triple E that lasted like a few weeks, everyone at first, they thought, oh, we're all going to die. And then it just died. Obviously, this hasn't done that yet. But why? If it's all the way in the summer, you realize how far the summer is away? That's months away. So we're not even like 2 weeks into this thing for it becoming a pandemic. We're not even 2 weeks in. Why not just wait it out, see what happens, see if we can come up with something, and then when it gets close enough, maybe like a month behind, because that sounds a little bit more reasonable, then you start saying, hey, okay, this is getting a little bit too out of hand for too long. Let's suspend it a couple weeks, or let's if it gets close enough, let's move it to next summer. That's when you can start making the rational or the rash decisions, not 6 months, not 3-4 months beforehand. That's
I think the tough thing is the case numbers there are so much higher than they are in the U.S. right now. Like, there's not as many cases here as it is Italy. Like, Italy is struggling a lot, and they have a huge team in Juventus there that would be able to get into these big games. You're not going to get a crowd there with this happening. You can't even get the players on the field due to health.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Luke, to an extent. I do think, like you said, it's 3-4 months down the road. Why consider shutting it down at this point? They could have waited. I do feel like it's really getting out of hand over there. I mean, just this past week, they were playing Champions League and normal regular league matches behind closed doors, 0 fans. And it was the weirdest thing ever to watch. You watch these giant maximum capacity, 50,000 person stadiums empty. And when your team would score, you expect to hear, the roar of the crowd and everyone loses their minds. And it was just like the bench just going, and that was it. And honestly, sports can't function in that atmosphere. I know LeBron kind of jokingly said, "Oh, I ain't going to play if the fans aren't there." But the fans are such a huge edge for professional competitors. And when they're gone, it takes a lot of wind out of people's sails.
Well, home court advantage. What's home court advantage without the fans?
Exactly. Then there is no benefit to playing at home other than the other team has to travel, but they get there days or even a week in advance. So what's the
Your
point?
logo's on the field or on
That's
the
it.
court.
That's it.
There's nothing special to that. It has blown my mind how everything is shut down so fast. And, I think the reason the NBA and all of them over here are doing it is they're trying to prevent what's happened with the EuroLeague, with players, tons of them getting the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
I really think the U.S. is trying to lock down on that and not allow that to happen. Whereas Italy maybe waited just a little too long.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also be curious to know, get like a census on all of these different stadiums, because the majority of people that are being affected and it being terminal is, I believe it was 60 plus, and then some underlying diseases like diabetes, lung condition, or cardiovascular conditions and that kind of stuff. I'd like to know the percentages of how many people that are actually being affected versus, say, like the younger generations or the middle-aged generations that will maybe get a flu or a cold for 2 weeks and be fine.
Yeah,
Because
and I think
the only terminally ill people are 60 plus with those underlying conditions. So it just makes me wonder.
I actually know the number for our age. One of my girlfriend's roommates told me it today. For people our age, it's a 0.4% chance of you getting it, and of you dying from it is like 0.000002.
No, I know that. I mean, like the population within the stadium watching the games.
Yeah, I think the big thing is, especially in Italy, is a lot of people have gotten infected. And yeah, it's maybe people our age or a little older, and they're not going to die from it. But the problem is they're going to the hospitals, they're clogging up the doctor's hours, and those people who are terminally ill or are going to be greatly affected by it, they're not able to receive that medical attention they need to the extent that they need it, because people our age have it and are clogging up the doctor's office rather than staying home. And that's where I think the real issue is.
Yeah, it's rough. We're really praying for the EuroLeague. We're excited. I do like soccer overall. It's a good sport to watch. I think I will definitely be watching the EuroLeague next year. Mm-hmm. It's a good time. So we transition to topic 3. We actually, guys, that's one of the rare occasions of beating the whistle. Well, we follow the trend of the coronavirus, and we're back to the U.S. MLB has delayed the start of the regular season. Spring training games are done, which was weird because as I got that alert, I was also getting score alerts for the Yankees spring training game. So they finished their game against the Nationals today. They won, no worries, because that's the big concern in spring training. But yeah, spring training's canceled, and the season at least is looking at a 2-week delay of beginning.
Which once again is smart.
I think it's why.
Because once again, like my point earlier with the soccer is, we don't know how it's going to spread. We don't know what doctors are going to come up with. We don't know how we're going to contain it. So if things start to lighten up in the next couple of weeks or in the next month or so, then we can say, hey, we're fine now. We can do this, this, and this, or figure out what all you can do at that point. And instead of canceling the 165 games like everyone else is wanting to do in their leagues and make a rash decision, why go through all that and why put so many teams in jeopardy? And on top of that, minor league teams and independent league baseball teams, they're in the same boat as well. And they do not make nowhere near as much money as Major League Baseball teams, even the Marlins, who doesn't have next to nothing and who was already prepared for this in their stadiums. When you start canceling minor league seasons and you start canceling independent league seasons, you don't know how many teams are going to end up folding because of that, because they don't make that much money most of the time. So a lot of times, rainouts are a concern. And was that honestly, bad?
I agree with you, Luke. I think the best thing that they could do was to take this slow and steady, because, like you mentioned, those independent league teams and minor league teams, game day is their lifeblood. They're not going to make money off of broadcasting deals or advertising revenue that the big league clubs make. And if we take away half of their games, who knows how many will make it to the end of the season. And honestly, they might do the MLB the favor of eliminating those teams that the MLB wanted to get rid of, which is really frustrating to think about. I think right now the only way to approach this is a wait and see and kind of push it off, because early reports are leaking out from Ohio that potentially upwards of 100,000 people might have the coronavirus in Ohio. And the only thing they can do right now is just slow down. And it works to their benefit that the MLB has such a long season. I mean, like you said, Luke, 162 games. They can afford to start a little bit later and then condense the schedule as the season moves along because of the sheer amount of games that they have.
My only concern comes into if you are committed to the 162 number, and I see so many problems because I can see them cutting this season short, and then some teams might say in a playoff hunt, 1-2 games behind, oh, well, if we had those extra 12 games, maybe we would have been in. And the other concern comes in playoffs, the timing. October, it's already starting to get chilly. We're really going to push these guys to November. I mean,
Well,
New
and
York isn't the warmest in November.
Yeah, let's be
No.
honest. The Yankees are going to be a team in contention as the season wears on. And if we push the season off to November, baseball's not meant to be played in the snow. It's not.
Minnesota?
Yeah, exactly. They're indoors, aren't they? Are the Twins indoors?
Not anymore. Not anymore. Not with the new stadium.
Yeah. See, those are
Well-
teams that we're thinking are going to make a deep run. And if we push the season farther and farther, the weather is really going to have an effect on the games themselves.
Well, here's an idea. I mean, just like what March Madness probably would have done is made it in a neutral site. They always do a neutral site. Why not just do that? Why not? There's plenty of quality baseball stadiums out there that are not being used. Like think about like Frisco, Texas, and the Frisco tournament that the NCAA D1 teams use. That's not enclosed, but it's the same concept. It's a neutral site that everybody can gather. It still has the capacity to hold enough fans. And why not do something like that? If you have a non-enclosed stadium, you have to push it back to November, or heck, even if you have to keep it in October, why not just put it in a neutral site? Why not just take away the outdoor factor?
I think my concern would then become, and this is maybe just me playing devil's advocate for fun, let's just say the two favorites, Yankees, Dodgers, World Series. You're going to put all 7 games, if it goes 7, in Frisco, Texas.
No, not specifically Frisco, Texas. That's the concept.
No, but I'm just saying,
neutral site.
let's say that neutral site is Frisco, Texas, just for fun.
Okay.
We're just playing around. All 7 games are there. You telling me the Yankees' home games are going to be dominated by their crowd?
Not necessarily. So what I'm saying in the neutral site thing, you're not going to put it smack dab in who knows nowhere, Nebraska or something like that. You would put it, LA's a big city. New York's a big city. It's a big area. There's plenty of close enough places that you could find, I am sure. So you would find a place in LA or in the surrounding metro, and you would play there. Or in New York, vice versa. You would find somewhere in the New York metro and have that home game there. Their home game in that neutral spot. You wouldn't say, hey, Yankees, you have to play in Rio Grande, Texas, and LA. You have to do your home games in Montana. That's just stupid.
What my concern is, I think the neutral site would stay the same for all 7 games. You follow what I'm saying? Like all 7 would be at that spot. If it's out west or even out east, one team's going to be a little angry because it's, well, what happens to my home crowd? I mean, you have seen the playoffs for MLB lights up a crowd. That K in the 7th inning with the bases loaded, it is electric. I mean, I think it could play a huge part there.
And here's another thing, though. Think about it this way. There are Dodger and Yankee fans in Indiana, in Michigan, in Tennessee, wherever. They're going to make the travel if they're going to make the travel. And
What
New York
happens if it's
fans,
the Minnesota Twins?
they'll still make the travel. You think about it this way. There are in Michigan, they're not just Detroit Tiger fans. They're in Illinois.
They jumped ship a while ago. They jumped the ship.
True, but you know what I mean, though. There are
That was dirty.
Marlin. Well, okay, I'm not going to say Marlin fans. I can't say Houston Astro fans. There are Angels fans in Texas. There's Angel fans in Florida. I'm sure there's an Angels fan in Michigan right now, and Matthew Razga, who me and Zach know at least in our broadcast program. But I'm telling you, there are plenty of fans in plenty of different places. Fans in New York, they'll make the trip to wherever. I guarantee it. There's enough hardcore fans that are going to do it. In LA, same deal. There is enough hardcore Dodger fans that'll make a trip if they have to.
I think we've wandered too far down a hypothetical path. That's probably not going to happen.
I love playing devil's advocate. It's
fun.
I am very selfish in this, and I don't care that it's selfish. I'm very mad I don't get to see Garrett Cole in 2 weeks in pinstripes. I am so mad.
You'll be fine. He got shelled by my Tigers in spring training, so he needs all the extra time he can get.
That's spring training. Get out of here.
He was trying new things.
Yeah, giving up homers to Travis Demerit is a pretty new thing for someone like Garrett Cole. He made Miguel Cabrera look good. Miguel Cabrera hasn't been good in 5 years.
Our guest later would say otherwise.
Oh, my gosh. Do not get me started on Mitch and Miguel Cabrera. No way.
Mitch and Miguel Cabrera, Mitch and Jared Goff.
Mitch and Jared Goff is worse, honestly, because the Rams are better than the Tigers.
Yeah, I think the Jared Goff thing, he can go on a much bigger rant than Miguel Cabrera.
It's amazing.
I have a feeling he's going to say something really dumb when he comes on, but that's just
probably. Me. We'll see.
Well, we beat the clock by 45 seconds, boys. It was good to talk. A little baseball.
Corona's making us fast.
Dude, Corona is killing me. We finally get a topic that isn't Corona. Well,
at least part of it.
The first part isn't Corona. I need a break. All right. Corona's too much. We had a little beef this week. The NBA didn't only have headlines in Corona, but Draymond Green and Charles Barkley going
that was so funny. Oh my goodness.
Draymond always knows how to find the spotlight. He really does. I feel like Charles Barkley gets into a lot of these things too, honestly.
Him and Shaq are always trying to beef with someone. Like Shaq and JaVale McGee a couple years ago.
Shaq and Dame Dollar.
Dame, that's right. I feel like they come from a different era where you just, running your mouth was the thing to do, and it still kind of is. And Draymond kind of belongs in that old school trash talking era. And that's why we're where we are now.
It is true. So who do you think? You want to go with the better side of the argument, or who had a more legit argument?
I'm going Barkley. I don't think Draymond could hold a candle to Barkley. Charles, in his era, the round mound of rebound, was one of the best players of the 80s and 90s. I mean, he averaged over 20 points a game for his career. He averaged, I'm pretty sure, over 10 rebounds a game for his career.
Yes.
Yeah, the big argument is no rings. Well, you know what? Draymond jumped on the war. He was blessed with the opportunity to be on the Warriors super team. He was fortunate enough to be drafted to a team that was on the rise and headed for success. Draymond is a player he doesn't average over 10 points a game for his career. He has never been more than a third option. We see this year with the Warriors, his chance to kind of take the reins. My leg's hurting. I'm done. I'm not playing today, kind of thing. He can't hold a candle to Charles Barkley's career. Yeah, he's won the rings, but he wasn't the guy. He was just a bit piece guy who basically put everyone's, he was the dirty work guy. And I love what Charles said, Charles called Draymond the backstage dancer who thinks that everyone's cheering for him when in reality they're just cheering for Justin Timberlake. Like Steph, Clay, KD, They're Justin Timberlake, and Draymond's the guy off to stage right, dancing in the corner, thinking everyone's cheering for him because he grabbed 2 rebounds and he had a couple assists and a steal, and then he kicked someone in the nuts. Like,
yeah, you can talk about rings if you're Michael Jordan. You can talk about rings if you're LeBron, because they were the pinnacle of that team. Think about it. Draymond, he was only a side, I'll say side piece for lack of better terminology, but the thing is, he was never the lead guy. It was always what? Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, one of those 2 guys that were the main contributors. KD, one of the main contributors. Draymond, he was just a guy that was filling a roster spot, basically, or filling the starting lineup. He was never a guy that got hot. He was always good whenever Steph was on the court or whenever everyone else was on the court. Think about it. If KD, if Klay Thompson, if Steph Curry were all injured in one of those years that they won the finals and Draymond was the top guy on the court, how many games would they have won? Not a lot. Nowhere near as many. They probably wouldn't even made it to the playoffs if all of those guys were out.
I think Draymond's a good player. I will say that. I know he's talking a lot of crap, but he is a good player. But he's definitely overpaid to the max. Like, I would love to have him in the role he played for the Warriors in that championship team, because you need a guy that just does it all, It reminds me of Al Horford with the Celtics when he was a Celtic. Like, just do it all. Do what you need to. Do the dirty work. But, yeah, Charles Barkley would give him the work. Even this year with the Warriors down, you're still going to D'Angelo Russell before you go to Draymond Green. You're going to Damian Lee before you go to Draymond Green.
Going to Jordan Poole before you go into Draymond Green. Look, don't get me wrong. There is a place for guys like Draymond Green in the NBA.
Absolutely.
A grinder guy who's going to grab rebounds, play defense, and he's going to be a pest. But if you put Draymond on any team besides those Warrior teams from the past couple years ago, nobody talks about him. Nobody cares about Draymond Green. Draymond Green is no more special than PJ Tucker. Honestly,
that's a super good comparison. I have never thought about it that way.
That's what he is. Nobody would care if he wasn't on the Warriors. Nobody would care about Draymond Green. Nobody. And you know what? Yes, he's a Michigan State Spartan. Maybe I have the Michigan blinders on a little bit right now. But Draymond Green, he's got no right coming after a guy like Charles Barkley, because he can't hold a candle to what he actually did on the court. Charles was the guy on the teams he played for. And you know who Charles had to run up against? MJ, Larry Bird, like Magic. Are you kidding me? Charles Barkley was like, okay, Steph, Klay, KD, you guys go get LeBron, and I'm going to go guard, whoever the backup big is for Cleveland. I'm going to guard Larry Nance. You guys can go take
care of LeBron. He probably guarded Kevin Love.
Yeah, but even Kevin Love in Cleveland was just, let me defer to LeBron. Let me defer to LeBron, give him the ball. Let me defer to Kyrie.
Well, he was also the third option.
Exactly. Draymond knew, you guys can go defend LeBron, and I'll defend the guy who's never going to get the ball. And then I'll make the occasional steal and scream at the crowd and let loose one of my catapult launch 3-point shots that's a straight laser at the rim.
His threes have gotten worse and worse every year. He used to be a decent shooter, and now it's like, please don't shoot. We'll pay you not to shoot the ball. Just pass it and rebound it. So we got to swing over real quick. We got 4 minutes on the clock. Rudy Gobert, what a fool, touching every single mic in press conferences.
And Donovan Mitchell.
He won't get the coronavirus, and Donovan Mitchell. He now has the coronavirus. He also gave Donovan Mitchell the coronavirus. This man is a fool. The Jazz have a serious problem with him now. The question I'll lay out here, through all the scandals, all the gamblers losing money, all the ads losing money, all the sponsors losing money, is Rudy Gobert the biggest loser of all of this saga?
I don't know about that, because a lot of other people are losing a lot of money, but he's already set. He was a real big idiot, and he really, according to what we found out before we started recording, is he really messed with his relations with the team. But which that's going to take a lot to regain again. But in my mind, if anything, he's either going to get completely cut, or I think the team should put some sort of ramifications on him. There should be some sort of consequence, whether it be a fine, whether it be suspension from the team, whatever it is, even if because there's no way you're going to be able to trade him. Because after all of that happening, there's no way.
We know that the league has already come out and said that the league themselves is not going to fine or suspend Gobert for his actions in the coronavirus and how he contributed. But I do think that there's going to be some retribution from within. I think, like we saw in that report, Utah is
Draymond.
Yeah. Utah is pissed, and they have a right to be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was preaching, wash your hands, take care of yourself, make necessary steps to ensure that you're not going to be at risk. And what does Gobert do? I'm going to touch everything in sight to prove I'm going to be fine. And then what does he do? He goes in the locker room and touches everyone else's stuff.
Well, he even spit in drinks too.
Exactly.
Just to make a point.
No, he didn't.
He did.
I did not know. He spit.
Yeah.
I don't.
I saw a report.
I would be punching him in the face.
I saw a report about that. I don't remember who it was, but I saw a report.
I don't even care if you're healthy. If either of you spit in my drink and there was no coronavirus, nothing, we'd have a serious problem because that's my drink you just spit in.
That's ridiculous.
There's a coronavirus. He is so stupid. You know what, Luke? Through all of this, I would still trade my first-round pick of the Celtics for Rudy Gobert. I don't even care that he's a fool. He can rebound and block the ball. That's all I need.
Wait, what are you going to do? Keep him out of the locker room?
Self-quarantine.
You can change out in the hallway or in the stands. You can't be in the locker room.
No, he gets his own locker room. You ever see those things at plays where you have to change your clothes real quick and they just wrap something around you? And
Yes.
Yeah, that's his locker. All right.
That's perfect.
Put your jersey on. All right. Go play. Just get the rebound.
Not even allowed in the showers. He has to go back to his hotel room to do it.
Absolutely.
I don't know how he can look Donovan Mitchell in the eye for the rest of his life and be like, hey, buddy, I'm really sorry I gave you a potentially fatal disease. That's my bad. Like,
well, what if this has a long-term effect on Donovan Mitchell? What if it affects his body and he can never play up to his full potential again?
I'm willing to guess that he's healthy enough that this is just going to become a cold or a flu type thing.
I would agree.
If I were to potentially hear the news that Donovan Mitchell was affected dramatically by the coronavirus, obviously I would be very disappointed, but 0.01% of me would be like, I don't have to hear about how the Pistons passed on Donovan Mitchell to take Luke Kennard anymore. Because
you're a sick human being.
You'll still hear about it.
You're a sick human being. Luke Kennard's injured.
0.01% of me. 0.01%. That's like 0.001 after
I'm so glad the whistle's blowing. Blow. Please. Thank God the whistle blew on you.
You know what?
We've
done this for 7 weeks. That's the first stupid thing I've ever said. Luke said the Giants should take Tua. Hold on.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, right. That's not even comparable. That is not comparable to the Giants pick. Okay, I admit that was really stupid, but that's not like me saying, I got Donovan Mitchell the coronavirus, and now I don't have to hear about him and Luke Kennard anymore. Yeah, that's not comparable. Come on, Noah.
Whatever.
Stop it. Stop.
And we come to our final segment of the night, and we are joined by a special guest, truly one of a kind, our good friend Mitch. Mitch, how you doing tonight?
What's up, guys? I'm good. Good to be here.
All right, we brought you in for a special reason because we're talking the AL Central this week on our MLB predictions, even though the season is suspended right now. But we got to talk baseball anyway. Mitch, we'll let you start it off because I know you have a special someone in fifth place. Please kick us off with your fifth place team for the AL Central.
My fifth place team this year is going to be the Kansas City Royals. I see them as a dumpster fire, worse than the Tigers are going to be, mostly because I do not see their offense to be as potent as the Tigers will be this year.
Disgusting. Luke, who do you have in fifth?
Honestly, I have the Tigers in fifth. I mean, it could go either way. The Tigers or the Royals. I mean, honestly, both of their offenses are kind of up and down. But my biggest concern is their bullpens and their closers at the moment because pitching will lose you a ball game and base hits will win you it. But at this point, either side has some work to do.
Noah?
I couldn't do it. I couldn't put the Tigers in 5th. So I'm going to go
Oh
with the
my
Kansas
God.
City Royals because
Thank you.
I took a look at their pitching staff last year was atrocious. They had the 4th worst ERA in the MLB, and they did nothing to address it in the offseason. I think that, honestly, they're going to be worse than the Tigers. The Tigers went out and made some semi-solid additions to help them get over 40 wins this year. So I'm going to go with the Royals in 5th.
I like your theory there, but the Tigers will either get them injured or they'll trade them, and that's why I put them in 5th. I'm not impressed by C.J. Cron and Jonathan Scope. All right, that's not a 3-4 hitter for a good team or a 500 team even. So Tigers still sit in 5th place for me, but I do like their pitching potential this year. We'll swing over to number 4. Luke, kick us off with who you have in 4th.
Give me the Royals at 4 because of the fact that the Tigers and the Royals are so interchangeable. And I honestly, if they stay healthy, they're still, unless they make some big moves right now, they're still at risk for being in the last couple places.
Noah?
Yeah, so obviously I'm not going to put the Tigers any higher than 4th. I like what they did in terms of bringing in some solid guys. Compared to what we had last year, this is going to be a lot more respectable. I think this is going to be a team that's definitely going to win more than 40 games this year. The young prospects are exciting. They're not going to be up right away, but it's something to look forward to.
Well, I hate to disagree, but I have the Royals in 4th. I like Danny Duff at the top, and Brad Keller has proven to be a decent starter in this league. I really like Mondesi at shortstop. He has a lot of potential, but I think it's really going to be a big year for Jorge Soler. He really broke out last year, going over 30 home runs, and I think he's truly going to show he's one of the elite bats in this game. Mitch, give us your 4th.
Number 4, I'm sticking with Noah. I got the Tigers in 4th. Like I said, I like the potent offense that I think they're going to be able to put together. I do think that there will be trade chips at the deadline, which will keep them on the lower end of the spectrum in the Central. I also think that bringing back Alex Wilson will be a good pickup for them. I think he'll add a good veteran piece, good veteran presence to that bullpen.
All right. I think we all had this. We all pretty much knew going into this. We were doing Royals, Detroit, 4-5. This is where it starts to get interesting. This 3-2 range is really interesting. Noah, kick us off with your number 3.
So at number 3, I have the Cleveland Indians. I feel like they're kind of in the same position that the Chicago Cubs are. They're not really sure to either retool or rebuild. They're kind of just stuck. They ended up trading away Corey Kluber, and at this point, they're kind of stuck with Francisco Lindor. They tried to move him. They're trying to get a contract extension. Honestly, we're not really sure where that's going. Lindor said contract talks have been suspended. Besides him, I don't see a lot of strong pieces in this team. I think they're going to be around 500, win 80 games this year. So I have them at 3.
All right. I have them at 3 as well. I'll kick it here. I really like the addition of Cesar Hernandez at 2nd. That's a good pickup to help out Lindor and Jose Ramirez with the bats. I do like the pitching rotation in Mike Clevenger, Shane Bieber, and Carlos Carrasco. I think it's honestly the other 2 teams have more bats, and that's why I put Cleveland in 3rd.
I agree. I think it's gonna be a dogfight between the top 3 teams, between the Twins, the White Sox, and the Indians. But I got the Indians at the 3rd spot solely because they're not gonna have as good of a season just because of losing Kluber and losing a couple other pieces. But I still think they have a good enough core to keep them within the middle of the pack and keep them competitive with the White Sox and the Twins. But there's just not enough pieces to get themselves, or not enough elite pieces to get themselves over the hump.
Mitch?
All right. I'm gonna disagree with all of you. I got the Minnesota Twins coming in at number 3. I haven't seen any changes from the team last year. It seems like their rotation seems like it's going to be the same. It was good, but I think that the Cleveland Indians, I believe, have more bats, have the better bats. I think that's what's going to make the difference.
How many times did the 100
many
team
home runs
do it twice in a year?
Last year?
The Indians have restocked their outfield. I think it's going to prove that they're going to be better. The Indians are going to be better.
They restocked and lost Puig.
Yeah, but Puig wasn't so great last year.
You take Puig or DeShields in center?
Well, Puig doesn't play center, so DeShields.
As I said, their old saying goes, draft. We need a center, or we could draft Michael Jordan. Play Michael Jordan at center. All right.
I mean, I'm
I
not
would
going to
put-
disagree with you on that.
I
but
would put Puig in center field over DeShields because
I would put
his
Puig
arm,
too.
he's a cannon. He has
He
one of the
does.
best arms in the league. I would put him in center in a heartbeat.
he does, but he doesn't have the speed that a center fielder usually needs.
The thing is, bats slump, and the fact that he had a bad season last year doesn't mean that he's not going to bounce back next year if he's going to have an average year next year. You can't base it off of slumping. You just can't because you don't know what's going to happen from year to year.
Let's not forget, though, that Puig is still in free agency, so you never know. The Indians could pick him back up.
They need to figure out Lindor before they go after Puig. All right, let them figure out the ones that are there first. We'll kick it over to 2 now with the clock running. Mitch, kick this one off. Who do you have in second place?
I got the Indians in second place this year. I think, like I said, their bats are going to be able to carry them. I really like their rotation. They're starting to get younger. I really think that's going to be their strong point. I really do see a lot of what the Tigers used to be a couple years ago, in that their only 2 holes that it seems like they have is at catcher and then their bullpen. Their bullpen just doesn't seem to be that good outside of Brad Hand.
Yeah, that's true. Luke, who do you have in second?
It was very tough for me to decide on this, but I got to go with the White Sox at second place solely because they made a lot of great roster moves. Like, they got a really good young core right now. They are not going to take down the Twins, and I don't think anybody in the division is going to get over 100 wins again this year. But I still think that the White Sox have enough pieces to get themselves possibly even a wild card spot in this next playoffs.
All right, Noah, second place, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Sox as well. Like Luke said, they made a couple really
Noah there.
strong additions in the offseason. You guys hear me? Are we all good?
Yeah, there you go. Now you're here.
Yeah, we got you. You're good.
Okay, yeah, I'm going with the Sox at 2. Strong young core, like Luke said. They're everything I hope the Tigers are going to be in 3 or 4 years. They made some solid signings in the offseason. Michael Kopech's back and throwing 100 miles an hour in spring training. We'll see if the season ever starts. That'll be cool for him to be back. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Sox at 2.
Yeah, I got the Sox as well in 2. You know, a big step was Lucas Giolito last year, really showing an ace form and setting them up top. That gave them the opportunity to go get Keuchel to be his 2. After that, there's a lot of question marks. But you know what? This lineup's talented with Yasmani Grandal. I think he was the greatest signing. And I think a low-key move that has been missed a lot is Nomar Mazaro out in right field. Now, he is a gigantic man who can hit the ball. The outfield is lining up to be Eloy Jimenez, Luis Roberts, one of the top prospects in this game, and then Nomar Mazaro. That's a beautiful outfield with a really good infield. And good luck for Jose Abreu. He might finally have a winning year in a White Sox uniform. As we slide over.
Real quick, that's a great point because the thing that the White Sox were missing is not only offensive consistency, but they were also missing some power bats in the lineup. So adding what they did just offensively alone, it's a great improvement for the White Sox.
No, it really is. We'll swing over to number 1 now. Luke, kick us off with your number 1 team in this division.
Give me the Twins. They're not going to be a 100-win season again next year because that's just like winning back-to-back World Series. Getting a back-to-back 100-win seasons is equally as hard because we all know people slump, injuries happen, coronaviruses come. You just never know what's going to happen in a season. You don't know who is going to get or what kind of trades you're going to do. You don't know who you're going to lose at any time. So I think the Twins will win it outright, but they're not going to be as successful as they were last year.
Noah?
Yeah, I got the Twins as well. They were dominant at the plate last year. It seemed like they crushed the cover off the ball, and they went and added Josh Donaldson as well. So they took a strength and made it even more of a strength. I think their pitching is going to be a little dicey out the gate, especially with Michael Pineda out serving that suspension to start the season. But I do think there's enough quality in their offense that they're going to be able to ride through and win the division again this year.